Hello, everybody. It's your boys back again with another jumping into with a hotly anticipated title as Aaron is taking on Returnal
Yep,
for the PS5.
absolutely
So,
buzzing, mate.
I guess just straight away you've had it, I guess, over the weekend now.
Yeah, I've got about maybe 10 hours or so in the game at this point, and I like it a lot. Just to cut
There
straight
you go.
to the
Thanks for
chase.
watching.
Yeah.
That's
It's,
us.
this is a pretty good game. Housemarque are well. I'm not got a lot of experience with all of the Housemarque games, but Resogun is like a personal favorite of mine, being one of the PS4 launch titles. And it's the only platinum that I currently have on my PlayStation. So I'm kind of keen to make this possibly my second, but this is a very difficult game, so we'll just need to see.
That's a big, if it's your only platinum, that's a big praise, to be fair. You're like, I'm going to make this my second, and I'm sitting platinum Lego Harry Potter 1 and 2, with just out of like habit.
So straight up, like when we leave this initial area, like from where your ship was, you'll come out here, and it's different every time, and it is already kind of at the stage where you'll start to recognize some of the areas. It's not like completely different every time, so we've just went into usually these will have some sort of like benefit to them, so I'm gonna pick this gun up because it is amazing and I love it. Just before it, and you can see already the loading times.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I know more about it now, but Returnal for the longest time to me was that game that kept showing up at all these state of plays, that they just kept, and I was like, what is this? I had no idea. When they initially showed it to me, I was like, this looks so just not up my street. I didn't understand that it was a roguelike or anything. It looked like a generic. This was like, when they first showed off the PS5, and they're like, this is games that we're going to be dealing with. And then just over the last month, as it started, creeping up, I started to hear a lot more buzz about it, and I started to understand what the game is. But even still, I guess my first question to you is, what on earth is Returnal? What is it about? What do you do? What's the game?
Yeah, so the basic setup for it is you're a scout pilot called Celine, and Celine essentially heads to this planet and gets trapped, like crash lands on it. So then she's kind of trying to figure out where's she going, all this kind of stuff, and finds her own body. And upon dying at the first kind of boss, it's very Dark Souls like, when you go in, you're just like a boss that you will not beat, and Demon Souls. And then you're put in this loop, and essentially every time that you come back to life, you will be fighting through the same areas, and you just get a little further and a little further every time. If anyone had played Hades, it's pretty similar concept to that, obviously being like the roguelite it's described as, I think. But yeah, that is the basic kind of idea of this game, and a lot of what it's built up to be is based on combat, because it has insanely satisfying combat. Like some of it's so fast paced. It is. I was kind of saying this to someone else, one of my mates, the other day. Like it does such a good job of making you feel these things are a pain in the ass. Making you feel like a complete badass. It does such a good job of you just being like, you're going around and you're blasting these guys, and it gets faster and the enemies get quicker, and it's got that really good element to it where you're also, you start out with these guys and you're like, oh, these guys are so difficult or whatever, and then eventually you build up, and then like, these guys I'm just like blasting through no problem. And then it's same with like, there's these guys that are called like, well, they're not called this, but they're like tree guys or something like that.
Aye.
Yeah. And it's like you can fly through those ones now, but obviously now I've got like far more difficult enemies later on.
Yeah, like what I was gonna say is just that's probably from the very little roguelikes I've played. This is, strange. It's similar to like I guess it's similar to like a Metroidvania. If you've ever played like Symphony of the Night, Castlevania, that's not like a roguelike by any means, but it's always that the enemies that you first encounter. I always like that in the game. Like the enemies you first encounter, like how that you're like, is this really going to be this game, like, am I going to be strong? And then you come back like 10 hours later and it's just like, you know, fodder. You just annihilate each of the enemies. It's the same with Hades as well. Obviously, I never actually beat Hades, but even from the 10 or so hours I spent with it, you know, as you go through the earlier levels and the biomes and stuff, like, you start to just annihilate enemies and it goes quicker and quicker and quicker. But I guess my follow-up question is, so I remember, again, going back to the trailers, there was a lot of cinematics and stuff, and also there was quite a focus on the story. And is the story in this delivered in the kind of similar way of Hades? So in Hades, it was kind of the case of you fail a run, you go back to the start, here's some story content, do your run again, fail that run, more story content. Is that the same kind of thing here?
It's a lot more hands-off in comparison. You will get that sometimes. We may actually see it going through this, but like on the odd occasion, you'll find your house, like from Earth. You got to assume, and right, I'll go through there in a second. Actually, that's the Crimson Gate to the next the next world. But yeah, sometimes you'll get story elements in it, and I think they're like, it does a smart thing, because I think this game is so much built up around it being like the gameplay, like that's what I'm here for, but it does put in enough of your story stuff to make you, you know, it kind of intrigues you every now and again, which I think it's quite smart at. Here's me thinking I was making a daring jump there and there's a set of stairs. These guys I hate with a passion. These guys absolutely fuck me up every time.
Oh, maybe not actually.
But the problem is as well is like, I picked up, you get these things called it's like you'll get perks and stuff, but they're also malignant, as it's called. So like you can go, oh, you can pick up this currency because there's a currency that you use to buy stuff, but the currency is malignant. Well, there's a possibility of malignancy, so then you'll end up you know, getting some kind of bad perk towards you, or what's the opposite of perk? I don't even know what you would call that. But anyway, you've got this here, and I picked that up and I got extra credits, but now my melee cooldown is increased by 2 seconds. So it'll do things like that.
Same kind of thing in Hades as well.
So you're kind of like lining up what's worth doing, what's worth picking up. Oh, can't go. I have no idea how to get through them yet. But yeah, so in terms of, in comparison to Hades, when you're talking about story, yeah, it does these bits, and it actually is it's a little bit scary at points, which I kind of wasn't expecting. Right. I don't know if you would have picked this up just from watching here, but I'm getting some like big time Prometheus and Alien Covenant vibes from this game.
It does look. That was actually coming into my head. Even just the color scheme and the aesthetic is very well. I'll say Prometheus because I like that film, and Alien Covenant gave me a migraine, but. I don't know, that could be an inspiration, like the Alien series and stuff.
Like if you're seeing this kind of stuff,
I need to look into it. Definitely.
You're getting the big time vibe. So I'm about to jump into the second world to show you this off. So this is the kind of point that everyone's talking about with this game, or there's a bit of like, you know, discourse going on in the old games journalism Twitter.
Bring this up,
is all to do with difficulty, which I think it's a load of rubbish, personally, just because I don't know, like this game it's difficult, right? And I'm sitting here thinking kind of the same as what Hades was. There's going to be a lot of comparisons to that, but I'm kind of thinking the same thing, where it's like it's difficult, but every time that you play, you get a little bit further, right? And and that just makes you, you know, I don't find that it's challenging enough. You know, I'm not playing this and going like, I'm never going to beat this level. There's no chance. But every time I go, I'm like, cool, I'm going to come back next time and I'll be better at it. Saying that, I might get messed up here. These guys are not...
you know, going back to the discourse and just quick, because you're talking about difficulty, what's your thoughts then on the other part of that? Because you know, there's been a lot of discourse around difficulty, and if this game's too hard, blah, blah, blah. But what about even which the developers have acknowledged this discussion around there not being a save and quit feature. So to my understanding, basically you can put your PlayStation on rest mode, which I believe they've suggested doing. But for example, if like right now you're like, okay, I've played a bit, I'm gonna go get my dinner. You would have to either put the thing on rest mode or quit the run entirely. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think the game, to be honest, I think it is going to get a save and quit feature because of just kind of the uproar about it. Well, not uproar, you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
It is a little bit of a pain, I will say. I kind of like a game that almost makes you play with it in a way, but I have had 2 seconds. I have had like a few times where I get the almost like it'll put me off from playing because, you know, say I've only got a couple of hours to play a game or whatever, or maybe I'm only planning on jumping on for half an hour. This is kind of thing like I was talking about this. If I'm surviving for more than half an hour, then it's like, what do I do? Do I just keep going, or do I like, if I quit, then I'm just, the whole thing's going to be lost. So it is, you do have kind of that issue, when you're playing this game, because it forces you to play longer than possibly you would want to play for, because it's kind of like it's not a casual gaming experience in that way. Because like last night I had a 2-hour session and over 2-hour run, which obviously I did not complete the game in either, and I found it, you know, annoying to some degree, but also completely exhilarating as well, because I'm possibly going to die here. Because when you get to those higher levels and you're sitting there thinking, oh man, like I could die right now and I've got 2 hours of progress potentially lost. There we go. So we'll get a little a look at some of the quick load times of this. Get this every time that you die.
You know, this reminds me of when you die in Zombies in Black Ops 3. You get that stupid cutscene with the forest.
So then we're straight back into it like this.
Right.
But yeah, having the longer sessions and kind of knowing that you have to be fully, you know, in it if you're playing it, it's just, it's exhilarating. My heart, I beat a boss the other day and I was over an hour into this run and I was like, my heart was actually pounding. I couldn't believe it. I was having such a good time.
See, I like that, and I agree with you to a point. And I think, because when I look at it, I'm like, that does sound, you know, the idea. I mean, this, again, was do a weird comparison to Zombies. When you're doing a Zombies run with your mates, and it's like, we've been playing this for 3 hours and it's round 50. And when you die, it's like, we can't quit and come back. When we die, we die. But I don't know, it's just the fact maybe, just in today's kind of gaming climate, or maybe just in my lifestyle, like I know me personally, if I'm playing like a story-driven game or like a single-player experience, usually it'll get to a point where like a couple pals will like invite me to a party and be like, oh, do you want to go in Battlefield or Battlefront, something like that. And usually I can go, yeah, 2 minutes, just let me get to a checkpoint, let me save. With this, I'm like, yeah, give me just like an hour and I'll see if I die.
Yeah.
Because you expect, like, so that puts me off slightly, just because of how, for me, when I find time to play games, this would. So I would like to see even the option, like maybe if you start the games, like, do you want to have an autosave feature? If not, you know, something like, not a difficulty option, but like an experience option, stuff like that. So I'd be curious if that option is going to come down the line.
Yeah, I think it probably would be inevitable. I think it's not affected me as much as for once. I was actually off this week, so like when this came, or this weekend. So when this came out, I just I like had the time to just sit and play the whole thing. So we're getting a look at what is now the third world.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So how come we're in the third world now? You know, because obviously you died in that run.
So something that's quite good about this is that it will essentially do shortcuts for you. So like it does start to be where you're not actually having to fight through every single level every time, but it actually what it does do is it gives you a sense of like you can take the long way if you want to take the long way. So like for example, I think obviously accepting the fact that you will be dying when you're playing this game is quite a good thing, because if you come into it and you just go, right, I'm going to die, I'll just run straight to the third world, see how far I can get, kind of try and learn a wee bit more about, you know, what's happening and certain bosses and all this kind of stuff. So like that is really handy. So like here, this is completely off topic, this is a fabricator and you'll use that to get different perks, very similar to Hades, where you're picking up different skills and they build up throughout your run and it'll be different each time. So the success of your run really does kind of depend on what kind of perks that you get, because one of the ones I had, it was like 10% chance of gaining back health if you you know, if you kill guys. So that was like proven to be very, very useful. So I have the choice here to pick up some of these currencies, which are called obolites. But again, this is the malignant. So like I could break this and possibly get some sort of detrimental effect, or I could also cleanse it with these ether currency, which are a bit harder to come by, so I don't tend to go for them. And then you get lucky like that, where it also just doesn't. There's the chance that it just doesn't happen, which I'll say actually has happened quite a lot for me, like, which I quite like. There we go. Gain a shield on low integrity. This is like where you see how impressive those load times are.
The loading times are insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know even. I think that's the first, because obviously I think with the loading times in PS5, it's usually just been the case of, you know, if we think to, God, like Spider-Man, for example. I think with Spider-Man, you know, even the remaster Miles Morales, the loading times were more, look how quickly the game boots up, and then look how quickly you get into your save. Whereas this, and I think Ratchet and Clank are going to show, look how quickly the game loads in assets.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's not just, oh my God, it's not just, oh, it loads quick. It's, this is why load speeds matter. And it's not just a gimmick, which I think, well, that's probably the next I was going to bring up. I think that's a lot of the praise I've seen around this game is it's been taken, you know, the back of the box gimmicks of the PS5 and showing what is the actual benefit of the haptics, of the, you know, the triggers and stuff like that.
Yeah, so these guys are the worst. To talk about the haptics, I kind of love it. Sometimes it does feel like your your PlayStation's going into overdrive, but yeah, I've had a great time with this. You can feel like the rain at some points. The guns feel so weighty. It's just fantastic. It's just such a good time when just the amount of effort they're putting into it. The alt fire option does take a little bit to get into. So essentially, like if I want to aim, I'm half pressing down on L2, but then if I want to go into alt fire, which is like your kind of like the special ability that your gun will fire, you have to go all the way down, and it's a bit of a like force through the click. So here we have what is actually one of the bodies of like a previous version. You'll find these around with data banks. What have we got here?
Undiscovered item, right?
Releases an expanding burst of energy that turns hostile projectiles into obolites. Woof. I shall. There's a way to get up to this wee bit. Yeah, so like I've seen like this area before. But it's like you'll come into different rooms, they're all random, but at the same time, you know, like it's the same layout. So you will kind of start to learn, even though you'll be going from place to place and it's never like no run's the same, you're going to get to the point where you recognize what you're running through. I do love a holoseeker.
So do the biomes, I think that's the word we use in roguelikes. You're saying like you recognise this room. How often do they change then? So you know, with Hades it was always a slight difference.
Yeah, I'd say it's a little bit more expansive than Hades, just because Hades was like a kind of basic. I don't think the room layout wasn't really any different, you know, when you were playing Hades. It was just kind of a different shaped room. But this does have different layers. Like this kind of stuff is a wee bit different every time, and sometimes you get things with like 2 floors, and sometimes it's got like a bit below, and maybe it doesn't at all, and all this. So like you do have enough variety. It's just not that you're not gonna go through it and think like this is an entirely new room after like say 3 or 4 hours. Obviously depending on like the rooms, the worlds that you've been in, because there is new styled rooms depending on the world you're in. One thing I'm actually not sure on at all is how many worlds there are, because as I was saying, I'm on world 3. Jeez, that guy is pretty strong. Ooh. But yeah, I'm not sure how long. So I think this is something I think some reviewers had been discussing, was just how long a run takes. Like if you want to, you're getting to the point where you're like, I'm going to complete this game, I'm going to die right now.
You're not going to complete this game, mate.
So it's like if you go for your final run, you think, I'm going to make it all the way through however many worlds there are, it's going to take you a while to do that. Like you're going to have to sit down and be like, this is my session for tonight. What's down there?
This is what I was, yes, one of my other confusions, which I seem to be incredibly confused about a lot of this. I swear I'm not, but oh my god. The
Yeah.
fact that I've seen on Twitter folk have got like, oh, I just did my Returnal run in 2.5 hours. So I guess maybe it's a stupid question because it's like, well, it's a roguelike, that's the point. How long is Returnal as a game? That's one of my weirdest questions.
I think it just depends on how good you are in these games, to be honest. Because I know whoever it was for the IGN review said he died less than, I think it was like 25 deaths he had, and not just that, but I have a vial. I did not realise.
There you go.
But he done it in 25 deaths in about I think he said maybe 20 something hours. And I know Jordan Midler, who reviewed the game for BBC The Social, I think he had played over 40 hours of the game by that point. So it really depends.
Lie down.
Yeah, so it's like
Damage
warning,
integrity.
interaction can damage integrity. I'm not let's go for it.
Because I guess one of the reasons I bring up the runtime, we were speaking about this, but the runtime's not a film, but we were speaking about this before we started recording, was the price of it. This, I think, is the first, I don't know, is this the first £69.99 British pounds game for the PS5? I can't remember if like Sackboy and stuff was full price,
it
to be
does.
honest.
I think it is now, since the All Stars Destruction All Stars got cancelled.
Oh yeah, oh my god. God, that was meant to be
Or not
£70.
cancelled, but put onto
Put
PS
on PS Plus.
But yeah, I think, to be honest, I think it is worth it to a degree. I think you're getting your money's worth. There's a lot of hours to get from this. Even if you say you were just the best gamer that ever lived and you blast through this actual campaign in 10 hours or so, you can, it's not just then, oh well, I've beat the game now, I've managed to get to the end, that's me. You can then start to try and go back and you know, eventually do quicker runs, and then it has a whole competitive side to it. So it's like, it's online quite a lot. There's a lot of this that's online, which means I'm like one hit away from dying here.
You've got this.
I'm looking for some health. There's some health down there, but these bloody things are spooky. These big eyes.
Because what I was going to say, for the real scientific evidence, I was like,
oh,
we're talking about, oh my, you're so dead, mate. You keep playing and I'll just chat away, but we were talking about the price, and if the general consumer, you know, not your hardcore gamer, is going to be up for this. So I went on I had a wee look on Hot Deals UK, the classic go-to cheap item marketplace or whatever. It's nonsense, but I was like, Returnal, let's see what's happening. And our latest deal we've had in Returnal is at base.com, we're not sponsored, and it's $63.85, so a wee discount there, you know, if you're not wanting to pay the full £70. Rated cold, it is 170 degrees negative, and there's a lot of anger in the comments. This is ridiculous, how is this even, this shouldn't be a deal. So the Hot Deal marketplace is not too happy about the price, and me, I really, even just these last 25 minutes watching play, I really want this game. Like, this looks sick. Although I have reservations about not being able to sit down for a couple hours at a time, this looks awesome. But with Resident Evil 8 coming out and Mass Effect Trilogy coming out the week after, I think it's not even like, I'm not, you know how we have a lot of websites, you know, is this a buy now, wait for a sale, or skip? It's not even, like, to me this is a buy. If this was a £55 game, and I could get it, usually if it's a £55 game, I can get it for 50 off, you know, some third party website. But just right now, £70 is too much for me personally.
I think there's always going to be reservations about when games. Oh jeez, those guys are the worst. Everyone's the worst in this. But yeah, I think everyone's going to have reservations when it comes to stuff like that, when you're building up more hostiles incoming. Oh dear. But
your health, you'll be fine.
I think when you talk about value for money and time spent in a game, Jesus Christ Almighty! I have no idea what that done there. Oh, it's a shield.
Oh, that's, there you go.
Health. Jesus, do you see that?
Nah, yeah, it is a tricky situation, you know, because it's always like, I'm only buying a game if I get 50 hours for my £50. Like, no, that's stupid. Oh,
Can't
to be fair,
believe-
that's good timing.
Yeah, what I would say for the pricing thing is, I always remember hearing the old argument about, like, when you talk about film prices and game prices, when you're talking about value for money in terms of pounds per hour, if you're talking £70 for a game that lasts you 50, but you're willing to pay, you know, £10 for a game that, for a film that's going to last you 2 hours, you are getting an insane amount of value.
Yeah.
And I think this has immense replayability as well. Obviously, I'm over 10 hours or so into the game, so I've not like went hard. I'm not like dozens and dozens of hours in, so maybe I can't say it like that. But from what I've played, this is a game that I'll continue to play after I've actually beat the game. Like, beating the game will be a really good point, and then it's like, right, how fast can I get this done? How many guys can I get killed? What builds can I get on each run and all this kind of stuff. You can also go back and face off the bosses again. So I think there is a lot of value in this. I get people's reservations, but this is as well kinda in a way like a tech demo for PS5, because it is really showing off when it comes to the load times. The haptic feedback's insane. It's buttery smooth when you're running about, and like things get really, really, you know, it starts to throw a lot of enemies at you that have a lot of different fire types, and it's very visually impressive. And I've had a bloody cracking time with this old game.
Yeah, it's the same way because we've got Ratchet and Clank coming in a couple of months, and normally I'd buy both of them, and now I feel like I kind of have to choose.
Yeah, so
it's like, you know,
yeah.
£70 doubled up. It's like,
I think Ratchet and Clank kind of is a game. I don't know how willing I would be to pay £70 for Ratchet and Clank, because that is like
incredible.
Maybe you could play it twice, maybe if you really loved it. But yeah, like this game is made to be played time and time again, and it just depends on your kind of experience with it. Like I was saying, I was playing last night, I was sweating, my heart was pounding, and I was like, I said this to one of my mates I was in the party with at the time, this is probably going to be my game of the year, because
oh shit,
I don't think I've had a game that's made me feel that way before, like the kind of game that makes you go, right, one more run, I'll stay up that wee bit later. Because last night I was playing it for hours, and I went 10 o'clock, I'm cutting it off, I'll go watch a movie or something like that, and then next thing it's midnight. Just because you keep pushing, you just keep going, and like maybe you're 2 hours in, you die, and sometimes depending on my mood, I would be like, oh well, I've died now and it's been 2 hours, right, cool, I'll just leave it. This time I can't be bothered starting again. But other times I just go, oh, I get so close, I'm gonna go right back and start again. And yeah, so few games have done that for me in a while. I think in terms of being like a video game, if you get me, you know, like games like The Last of Us, I love that kind of stuff, but I wasn't like finishing that being like, I can't wait to play this again or anything, you know. Like, this is a fun game that you'll be staying up late, your eyes will be burning because you're just like wired to the screen, like you're not going to notice anything else that's going on behind you. So yeah, it's definitely one to check out. If people aren't happy with the price, I'd imagine this might go down soonish, because I think as one of the first games that is coming to PlayStation at a higher price, I don't know how well that will reflect for some people. Like,
yeah, I think it's going to be a good indicator going forward, you know, like if this doesn't sell that well, I think Sony are going to be like, fuck, we need to
it's just I think it's just because it's a
plan.
big jump. It is a big jump from the 50 to 70. Obviously we've seen this before, like back when we were kids, we were buying games for like 20, 30, then 40, then 50. So it has always been a gradual build up. I think their mistake here was just going boom, 70, you know. But yeah, check this game out. It is pretty fucking awesome.
Well, there you go, a glowing recommendation. Oh, what a start to the year, you know. We had Hitman, It Takes Two, and now Returnal, just to name a few, and we've got Resident Evil 8 dropping this week. It's a cracking start to the year for games. So but I believe next week you'll be joining us again for Resident Evil 8. I think we're going to have another dive into that.
Yeah. And
then the week after, some Mass Effect. So we're all sorted for once, and then we'll get back onto some, God knows, I'd be back up on Overcooked, to be honest. But
yes.
that's Returnal, everybody. So if you would like to see more Returnal gameplay, then go buy it, alright? No. Then just, you know, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Hate saying that, it's disgusting, I think I've ever said that. But I'm sure we're going to have loads more content of all the latest games dropping, and yeah, thank you. I honestly might go buy this game and I really fucking want it.